I used to think silence meant love, that if you didn't yell, didn't curse, didn't throw things, or slam doors, then that meant it was okay. You just had to ride it out. Smile, nod, get through the day. But silence can be just as sharp, just as cruel. That realization didn't come with a scream or a slammed door. It came one Thursday afternoon in the laundry room while I was holding a damp sock in my hand and listening to my husband tell me I should have been more like my cousin Ashley. I didn't even know what I was being yelled at for that time. By then, his voice had turned into background noise, like a dishwasher humming or a neighbor mowing at the worst time. But then that line cut through it. I should have married Ashley instead. At least she listens. My fingers clenched around the sock. Still wet. Still warm from the wash. I didn't say anything. Not yet. Just looked at him. This man who'd once promised to love me, who now stood there in a faded college hoodie that smelled like sweat and entitlement, and waited for him to leave the room. He didn't. He kept going. I remember the hum of the dryer behind me, the buzz of fluorescent lights above, a headache settling in, slow and steady, like rain tapping on a roof. And that's when I did it. No words, no fight. Just reached up to the shelf above the washer where we kept the cleaning supplies and grabbed the box of dryer sheets, not the unscented ones. The new box, the one with the spring meadow scent he swore reminded him of childhood, even though I'd already told him his mom confirmed he was allergic to them. He didn't notice. He never did. Not the small things. That load got a handful of dryer sheets. The next one? 2. But that wasn't the beginning. That was just the first moment I stopped making excuses for him. We'd been married 5 years by then. Together for 8. My name's Jordan. I was 29 at the time. Grew up outside St. Louis, the middle of 3 boys, raised by a mom who worked 2 jobs and a dad who disappeared when I was 12. I learned early on to fix what was broken, even when I didn't have the right tools. Duct tape, zip ties, elbow grease. It worked with old cars and leaky faucets. Didn't work with people. I met Ryan during community college. He was loud in a charming way back then, always cracking jokes, always the center of the room. The kind of guy who knew how to tell a story and make everyone feel like the punchline was worth it. I liked that about him. He had allergies. Bad ones. Couldn't have cats. Couldn't be around freshly cut grass. Even certain detergents made him break out or snort through the night like a congested engine. But he carried it like a badge of honor. Like being high maintenance made him special. This body's a temple, he'd say, laughing, just with a few more access codes. At first, I found it endearing. Something to care for. He'd get itchy if I used the wrong fabric softener. Rashy if the pillowcases weren't washed a certain way. So I adapted, took notes, labeled things, bought the fragrance-free version even when it was double the cost. But over time, the requests turned into demands. And the demands turned into expectations. I still remember the day he found out his mom never used dryer sheets. It was 2 summers ago, before the laundry room incident. We were visiting his parents in Michigan, and he was going on about how his mom used to make his shirts feel like clouds. She gave me this look, half amusement, half guilt, and pulled me aside in the kitchen. "Honey, I never used dryer sheets with him," she whispered while wiping down the counter. "He used to break out in hives." I laughed, thought it was funny, told him later that night. He didn't laugh. "You're calling my mom a liar?" he snapped. "No," I said, slow, cautious. "I'm saying maybe you're remembering it wrong." He didn't speak to me the rest of the trip. By the time of the laundry room scene, I'd learned not to argue. Not because I was scared of him. He never hit me, never even raised his voice in a way that could shake a wall, but because the arguments never went anywhere. Logic didn't land with him. Emotion was weakness. Compromise was losing. So I did what I'd been doing for years. I listened. I nodded. I sorted whites from colors and waited for him to leave. But he didn't. He just stood there, arms crossed, listing every one of my shortcomings like he'd been rehearsing it in the mirror. And then came the Ashley comment. I should have married Ashley instead. It wasn't just what he said. It was how easily he said it. Like he believed it. Like I was nothing more than a placeholder until someone better came along. I didn't yell, didn't cry. I just opened that cabinet, picked the box with the most aggressive name, Spring Meadow, long-lasting freshness, and made my move. He watched me toss the sheets in, didn't blink, just kept talking. That night, he couldn't sleep, said his nose felt clogged. His skin itched. He blamed the weather, the neighbor's lawn care, the dinner I made, anything but the thing sitting inside the dryer sheets woven into his clothes. I lay beside him, quiet, listened to his breathing, raspy, uneven, listened to him shift and grumble and sniff, and I smiled into the dark. The next morning, I offered to do laundry again. He didn't thank me, he never did, but he tossed his clothes into the hamper with a grunt and disappeared into the shower, leaving a trail of damp towels and discarded socks behind. Every load got another handful. His gym shirts, his boxers, his precious band tea collection. Everything went through the meadow. He started sneezing at work. His eyes got red. He bought extra allergy meds, booked an appointment with an ENT specialist. I acted concerned, even bought him eucalyptus tissues. I think it's just the season, I said one morning while packing his lunch. Maybe mold in the vents? He nodded, sniffling. Probably. It's been a bad spring. He didn't notice the dryer sheet sticking to the back of his shirt until he got to the office. Texted me a picture with, "This why I feel like crap." I waited 2 hours before replying. Oops, must have clung on by accident. He never brought it up again. Weeks passed, then months. He kept getting sick. Little things. Itchy scalp, red skin around his neck, constant congestion, a low-grade cough that never left. He started blaming everything, the mattress, the detergent company, even the city's water supply. He never looked at me, never once considered that maybe, just maybe, his perfect wife, the one who folded his socks just the way he liked, who made dinner on time, who bought the right brand of tissues, had stopped trying to fix him, had started quietly letting him fall apart. But even then, I didn't plan to leave. Not yet. I still thought I could find peace inside the mess. That maybe if I just turned down the volume on his voice, on my own resentment, I could wait it out. People change, circumstances shift, right? Then came the birthday dinner. Ashley was there, and so was the final line he couldn't take back. Ashley wore green that night, olive silk, sleeveless, with gold studs around the collar. Ryan couldn't stop staring. I watched him from across the table, tracing the rim of his wine glass with one finger while she talked about her new promotion, some marketing gig in Seattle. He smiled like a boy listening to a bedtime story. We were at his favorite steakhouse downtown, booth by the window, low lights, white tablecloths, a place we used to save for anniversaries and milestones. Now, it was just another distraction, a show of effort, maybe, or guilt. His parents were there too, and his sister, Emily, who never liked me and didn't try to hide it. They all talked over each other, stories layered on stories, while the server refilled drinks and cleared plates we barely touched. I sat next to Ryan, close enough to smell the cologne he'd spritzed twice in the mirror before we left. The scent didn't cover the faint funk of laundry that had been dried with one too many sheets. Halfway through dessert, Emily brought up high school. "Remember when Ryan used to sneak notes into your locker, Ash?" she said, laughing. God, you had him wrapped around your finger. Ashley chuckled, soft. He was persistent. Still is, Emily said. And then Ryan, eyes still on Ashley, said it again. Not quite the same, but close enough to strike. I probably would have been happier with you. The table fell quiet. I didn't say anything, just stared at the plate in front of me. Cheesecake, untouched, a crack through the middle, like something had split and no one bothered to glue it back together. Ashley cleared her throat. Ryan, just saying, he shrugged. We always got along. His mom gave him a look. The same one she gave when he used to complain about itchy shirts, and she'd just done 2 loads with hypoallergenic soap. But no one corrected him. No one stood up. And I didn't either. Not because I agreed, but because something inside me clicked. Not anger, not sadness, certainty. That was the moment I started packing. Not with boxes, not with bags, but with decisions. The dinner ended. We said our goodbyes, hugged his parents, thanked the staff. Ryan walked 2 steps ahead of me the whole way to the car, humming some song off the radio, keys swinging from one finger. When we got home, he tossed his shoes by the door and flopped onto the couch. You mad? No, I said, toeing off my boots. You're quiet. Just tired. Good. I don't feel like fighting. He got worse after that, physically, emotionally. The sniffles turned into sinus infections. The itchy patches on his arms became red welts. He stopped going to the gym, stopped shaving regularly, started ordering takeout more, complained about the cost, then blamed me for not cooking. I kept the dryer sheets coming. Spring meadow turned to lavender breeze, then to citrus bloom. He never noticed the switch. I think part of him stopped noticing me at all. By midsummer, I had a plan. I wasn't just folding laundry anymore. I was tracking finances. Quietly. I'd handled the bills from the start. Ryan said he hated numbers, said they stressed him out. So I had login access to everything, credit cards, mortgage, car note, utilities. I paid them like clockwork. And now I started watching for patterns. He'd opened a new credit card, without telling me, ran up almost $3,000 in charges, mostly restaurants and Amazon. That was the first breadcrumb. Then I found the texts. It happened during a laundry cycle. He left his phone in the jeans I was about to wash, buzzed when I pulled them out. A text preview flashed on the screen. Ashley, you can't keep saying stuff like that. It's not fair to him. My chest went cold. I opened the phone. No passcode. His text before hers. You really think he makes you happy? Be honest. Another. You ever think about it? Us? I do. There were more. Not explicit. Not sexual. But intimate. The kind of messages you don't send if your marriage is whole. The kind you don't delete if you're innocent. He'd saved them. A whole thread, hidden under her name, buried between work group chats and fantasy football updates. She hadn't responded much. Mostly one-liners. Boundaries. But he kept pushing. I scrolled. Screenshot. Sent it to myself. Then deleted the sent email from his outbox. He never noticed. The next day, I booked a consult with a lawyer. Half hour. Free session. Downtown office with a water cooler and bad coffee. Her name was Tamra, mid-40s, sharp eyes. She asked 3 questions and then went quiet, tapping notes into her tablet. You have joint assets? Yes. Joint debts? Mostly in his name. Kids? No. She looked up. You planning to leave? I paused. I'm preparing. She nodded like she heard that a lot. You don't need him to agree. You just need to be smart. She slid a pamphlet across the table. Checklist. Documents to copy. Accounts to close. Mail to redirect. Names to take off titles. You do this quiet, she said. Then you move. It took me 3 weeks. I copied everything. Printed bank statements. Photographed medical bills. Tracked pay stubs. Made a list of the dryer sheet brands he reacted to, and labeled each one with the date I started using them. That last part, for me, not the court, just to remember how long it had been. When I filed, I did it during lunch. Drove downtown, signed papers, paid the fee. Tamara filed them the same day. I went back to work, answered emails, ate reheated pasta in the break room. When I got home, Ryan was on the couch, scratching at his neck. "You switch soaps again?" he asked. I shook my head. "Same as always." He shrugged. "Maybe I'm allergic to you." I smiled. "Maybe you are." The papers were served the following Monday. He came into the kitchen holding the envelope like it was radioactive. "You're divorcing me." "I am." "No warning?" "You said you didn't feel like fighting." His face twisted. "This is because of Ashley, isn't it?" I didn't answer. "You think something's going on?" She shut that down, man. "It was just talk." I stayed quiet. He slammed the envelope on the table. "So that's it? You just give up?" I looked at him, really looked, and saw someone who'd spent years taking more than he gave, and still felt owed. "I didn't give up," I said. "I just stopped pretending." He moved out 2 weeks later, took the TV, left the towels, forgot the toothbrush charger, and asked me to mail it. I didn't. The laundry room stayed quiet after that. No more sniffles, no more complaints about soap brands or thread counts. Just silence. Real silence. Not the kind that hides things, the kind that breathes. The house was quiet, in a way I'd forgotten. You'd think silence would be loud after years of someone constantly filling the space. But it wasn't. It was clean. Like fresh air after a thunderstorm. Like the smell of nothing after a scent-heavy room. I didn't realize how much tension I'd been carrying until Ryan was gone. The way I used to flinch when I heard keys in the lock. The subtle clench in my stomach when his footsteps hit the hallway at night. Now, the door opened and closed with only my own rhythm. I started sleeping better. I stopped making double portions for dinner. I rewashed the towels he'd taken, just in case. He tried to get clever and leave a little something behind. But the part that stuck with me most? The dryer. I opened it one afternoon to toss in a load and found a single lavender-scented dryer sheet stuck to the back wall. Old habit, old ghost. I peeled it off, held it up to the light. It still smelled like control. Like all the years I'd bent around someone else's preferences, walking on eggshells disguised as courtesy. I threw it away and didn't replace it. Tamara called me a week after he was served. She'd found something. "You said all your joint accounts were clear?" "Far as I know," I said. "Well, looks like he kept one open." She sent over a screenshot from her assistant's research, a shared account we'd used early in our marriage, one we both thought had been closed. Except it wasn't. Ryan had reactivated the debit card 3 months prior and used it. $72 at a downtown restaurant, $130 at a spa, $89 at a boutique hotel, all charges under my name tied to that account. He hadn't just taken advantage, he'd left fingerprints. The next step was confrontation. But not face-to-face. Tamara advised against it. "Let your documentation speak for itself," she said. "Don't give him the chance to rewrite the narrative." So I wrote a letter. Typed. Single page. Attached to the legal motion we'd be filing to request financial separation retroactive to the date of filing. I used short sentences, calm tone. I included the screenshots, the receipts, the timeline. I didn't call him names, didn't make threats, just facts. "I'm removing my name from the account. You made the choice for both of us when you used it without consent." That was the final line. Then I mailed it, certified. He texted me that night, first time in days. "Ryan, wow, cold." I didn't respond. "Ryan, this over a few dinners?" Still nothing. "Ryan, you never used to be this harsh." I stared at the screen for a long time. Then I typed, "Me, I never used to be this free. I hit send and turned off my phone. Weeks passed, then a month. The divorce timeline was clean. No disputes, no delays. Tamara said that rarely happened. Usually, people want to fight over something: plates, pets, photos. Ryan didn't. I don't know if it was guilt, shame, or ego. Maybe all three. But one afternoon, I got a knock on the door. Not Ryan, Ashley. She stood there in jeans and a windbreaker, sunglasses tucked into her collar, holding a manila envelope. "Can we talk?" she asked. I hesitated, then stepped aside. We sat in the kitchen. I offered tea. She declined. She slid the envelope across the table. "I didn't know he'd kept the account open," she said. I blinked. "What?" "He used it. Once, with me. That spa charge. He said it was his card." My jaw tightened. She kept going. "I found the envelope when I was helping him pack the last of his things. Figured, you should have it." Inside were photos. Old ones. Us from early days. Vacation prints. A few wedding shots, but tucked in the back. Pages of journal entries. His. Some typed. Some handwritten. I scanned the first one, dated 6 months before I filed. I don't know why I keep pushing him. He's good. Better than I deserve. But I keep testing him like I want to break the damn thing just to see if he'll stay and fix it. I read more. They weren't apologies. Not really. More like self-observations from someone who knew he was losing grip, but refused to admit it in real time. There were lines about Ashley, about what-if fantasies, about the attention he craved when life got quiet, about me. He started buying the softener I like again, probably still thinks I don't notice, or maybe he's just tired of arguing. I miss when things were easy. I miss the version of me that made him laugh. Ashley sat still while I read, not fidgeting, not justifying. When I looked up, her eyes were tired. He asked me if I ever thought about him. I told him the truth. Once, a long time ago, but not anymore. I nodded. She rose to leave. At the door, she paused. "He's not good at endings, but maybe you are." Then she was gone. I kept the journal pages, not out of sentiment, but as a reminder of how easily people can confuse comfort with commitment, how someone can twist your kindness into currency and still think you owe them. I filed them away, not under memories, but under closure. I moved out 3 months after the divorce finalized, not because I had to, because I wanted to breathe new air. The house we shared wasn't a home anymore. It was a gallery of quiet compromises. His imprint was everywhere. The light bulbs he insisted be soft white. The mismatched plates he refused to replace. The smell of that damn cologne still faint in the hall closet. I found a smaller place across town. 2-bedroom rental with creaky floors and a view of a discount tire shop. It wasn't much, but it was mine. My name on the lease, my terms on the walls. First night there, I slept on the floor with a mattress topper and a pile of folded blankets. No furniture yet, no internet, just a single lamp and the hum of traffic outside. And still, I slept better than I had in years. Moving gave me clarity. So did clearing out. I started tossing things, box by box, old towels, picture frames, souvenirs from places we never actually enjoyed. The last drawer I cleared held something small but sharp, a receipt. From the same boutique hotel Ryan had charged on the joint account. I flipped it over, a note scribbled on the back in his handwriting. "Don't tell him, just this once." I stared at it. The room didn't spin. My chest didn't clench. I felt nothing. I dropped it in the trash. Peace isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's just the absence of reaction. I'd been working in IT support for the same firm for 5 years by then. Solid job, decent benefits, good people mostly. But I'd always kept my head down. Said yes too much. Took extra shifts when no one else would. After the divorce, that changed. I wasn't louder, just clearer. Started setting boundaries. Turned down the third overtime request in a row. Declined the late night call about a simple fix that could easily wait until morning. At first, people were surprised. Then they adjusted. I was still good at my job. I still showed up. But now I showed up for myself too. Around that time, I met someone new. His name was Marcus. We crossed paths at a hardware store of all places. I was buying wall anchors. He was arguing with an employee about the wrong size screws for a TV mount. We made eye contact, shared a laugh. He held the door for me on the way out. It was nothing. Then it was something. He asked if I wanted to grab coffee. I said yes. We didn't talk about exes that day. We talked about travel, about books, about the weird sounds our fridges made at night. He didn't try to impress me. He just listened. That felt radical. Marcus moved slow, considerate. He asked before assuming, made room without taking over. The first time he came to my place, he noticed the laundry setup. "Wow," he said, "you really have every kind of detergent." I smirked. Leftover habit. He picked up a bottle, read the label. Then he turned to me. "What do you use?" "Whatever I want now," I said. He smiled. "Good." We didn't rush into anything. Took our time. He knew I was coming from something heavy. Never made me feel like I had to be fixed. Never offered advice I didn't ask for. He just kept showing up. Quietly, steadily. One evening I told him the whole story. The dryer sheets, the slow unraveling, the letter, the journal entries. He didn't interrupt, didn't flinch. When I finished, he said one thing. "You did what you had to do." A few weeks later, I got a message request on Facebook. Ryan. I stared at it for a long time before opening it. It was a paragraph. Polite, almost sterile. "Hey, I just wanted to say I've been doing some work on myself. I read through some of the old journal stuff. You didn't deserve a lot of what I put you through. Hope you're doing well." No ask, no apology really, just words. I didn't respond. I didn't need to. Closure doesn't always look like a locked door. Sometimes it's walking away from one that's been open too long. Tamara sent me one last email after that. Subject line, "You're all done." Inside was a PDF attachment. Final judgment, signed and sealed. I printed it, put it in a folder labeled Freedom, slipped it into the same drawer where I'd kept the old receipts, the screenshots, the photos. Then I cleared the drawer entirely. Every piece of paper went into the shredder. Every remnant of that chapter turned to noise. Months passed. The seasons changed. I painted one wall in my new apartment a ridiculous shade of navy that Ryan would have hated. I hosted a dinner party for 3 coworkers who never knew I'd once been the guy who kept quiet to keep peace. I bought a plant and didn't kill it. Marcus brought over a second one. We made jokes about building a forest. I never thought I'd feel light again, but I did. Not because someone rescued me, but because I stopped folding my life into corners someone else refused to clean. It's been 5 years now. Sometimes I still catch the scent of dryer sheets at the laundromat or in someone else's apartment building, drifting through the vents like a ghost that doesn't know it's supposed to be gone. And every time, I smile. Not because of what I did, but because of what I stopped doing. I live differently now. The mornings are quiet, but they're mine. I make coffee before sunrise, open the blinds, let the light fall where it wants. The counters aren't spotless, the dishes don't match, and there's always one sock missing from the dryer. It feels human, real. Marcus and I moved in together last spring. Not out of need, not to fill a silence, but because we both wanted the same kind of peace, steady, unperformed, ordinary. He builds things, tables, chairs, small pieces of furniture that look like they could last through weather. I fix laptops in my home office, Freelance now instead of clocking into an office that felt like another compromise. It's not glamorous, but it's honest. He laughs about my laundry routine. You still separate your whites like it's a religion, he teases. Old trauma, I tell him. He kisses my temple. You've earned your rituals. I thought leaving Ryan would feel like tearing something apart. It didn't. It felt like setting something down. When you live in constant justification, explaining, defending, appeasing, you forget what weightlessness feels like. You forget that stillness isn't laziness, that silence doesn't have to mean surrender. I remember the last night I saw him, just before he drove off for good. He stood in the driveway, arms crossed, eyes wet but defiant. You'll regret this, he said. You'll realize I was the only one who could handle you. At the time, I didn't answer. I didn't need to. Now, years later, I realize that was projection. He couldn't handle himself, and I'd stopped volunteering to carry the load. There's a peace that comes when you stop needing the last word. Sometimes I think back to that moment in the laundry room, the fluorescent light, the hiss of the dryer, the box of spring meadow sheets in my hand. It was small, almost petty, the kind of act you'd laugh about years later if it weren't so loaded. But it wasn't revenge. Not really. It was a line in the sand. For years I'd absorbed his moods, his allergies, his invented crises. I made room for every discomfort he refused to face. The dryer sheets were my first no, a quiet rebellion disguised as domestic duty. Looking back, it wasn't about making him itch or sneeze. It was about reminding myself that I existed, that even inside the walls he filled with noise, I could still choose, and that choice multiplied. One Saturday morning last fall, Marcus and I went to a garage sale in the neighborhood. Old couple selling everything before moving to Florida. I found a box of assorted cleaning products and laundry supplies, half-used bottles, weird sample sizes, a few boxes of dryer sheets, lavender breeze. I picked it up, ran my thumb along the edge of the cardboard. Marcus looked over. You okay? Yeah, I said. Just a memory. He smiled. Good one or bad? Necessary? I put the box back. We bought a small lamp instead. Healing wasn't instant. It came in layers. The first year was mostly survival. Getting my finances right, learning how to spend weekends alone, unlearning habits like apologizing before speaking or waiting for permission that never needed giving. The second year was quiet rebuilding. I started hiking again, joined a book club, reconnected with family I'd quietly drifted from during the marriage. Turns out they'd been waiting, just giving me space until I was ready to talk. By the third year, I didn't talk about Ryan much anymore. He became a symbol, not a person, a lesson that didn't sting anymore. Now, he's just part of the background. A story I tell sometimes when people ask why I don't like scented detergent. I tell it with a smile. They laugh. They don't realize there's a whole past tucked behind the punchline. That's fine. Some truths don't need explaining. Last month, I got an email from an unknown address. Subject line, "Hey, it's Ryan." I hovered for a moment before opening it. I saw your name in one of those alumni updates. Looks like you're doing well. I just wanted to say, I'm genuinely happy for you. I'm in therapy now. Finally getting some things sorted out. I don't expect a reply. Just wanted you to know I get it now. I read it twice. Then close the tab. Not out of anger, out of peace. Because some things don't need closure. They just need distance. I don't think about revenge anymore. I think about boundaries. How quiet ones change everything. I used to think the most powerful thing you could do was make someone regret hurting you. Now I know it's living in a way that makes their noise irrelevant. The dryer still hums in my new place. Same steady rhythm, but it sounds different now. Softer, like a heartbeat instead of a burden. When I pull out the clothes, they're clean, simple, unscented, and they smell like freedom. If this story moved you, subscribe for more real life confessions and emotional journeys like this one.